The upholstery is a dead giveaway, isn't it? Plaid upholstery. Where else would you find plaid upholstery in a car but a Golf GTI? The Golf GTI, for some reason, gets a lot of grief from people. They tend to think of it as kind of boring and too conventional and too common. It must be too common because too many people are buying it, and they must be buying it because it's a bloody good car. So I thought we'd take one out for a drive and just see what the attraction is with the Golf GTI. The car we're driving is the configuration that most people in New Zealand end up getting. It's the DSG transmission and the standard 162 kilowatt Golf GTI. Price on this particular item, $52,990. I still find the DSG, a little bit hesitant sometimes in low speed maneuvering. It just can't slip the clutches in its gearbox as subtly as you can control them with your own foot. So I find that low speed maneuvering, particularly in tight little parking spaces or on inclines, is a little bit hit and miss with the DSG. You're never quite sure exactly when that clutch is going to bite and when it's not going to bite. Part of the appeal of this engine is that it produces such usable power. I mean, 162 kilowatts, yeah, that's quite good. But the beauty of those kilowatts is that you get them everywhere from 4,500 RPM to 6,200 RPM. And with peak torque, 350 newton meters, again, it's over a very broad rev range from 1,500 RPM to 4,500 RPM. And that's kind of where you are all the time when you're driving around. So you've always got 300 plus newton meters of torque to play with. What that means is no matter which gear you're in or kind of what your road speed is, you've always got a bit of poke available through your right foot. Now there's a new Golf on its way to New Zealand. It's the Golf 7.5. This is a Golf Mark 7. The 7.5's got a digital dashboard and a new front and new rear tail lights, slightly more power. It's got different wheel design, things like that. So little fine tunings of the car. But look, it doesn't really matter whether you get a Mark 7 or a Mark 7.5. Whichever Golf GTI you buy, you're going to get a great car, because you're going to get a car that really understands what a hot hatch driver is looking for in terms of its dynamic prowess. And it also understands that that same driver is going to be stuck in traffic on daily commutes or taking kids to school or doing shopping runs, and doesn't want a car that's too temperamental, doesn't want a car that's too expensive to maintain, doesn't want a car that sort of scares the neighbours' kids when it starts up in the morning. And Volkswagen, having made 35 million Golfs and a fair proportion of those being GTIs, really understands what people want from a car and when they want it. The great thing about the GTI is that you can tune it to match your moods. You can tootle around town in eco mode, where it stops quite nicely. It jumps into tallish gears, but not frustratingly early. It sips fuel. It'll even actually glide along with no engagement of the gears at all if it finds that you're neither needing the accelerator nor engine braking. The thing will drop from a gear into a gap between gears and coast, all in the name of economy. So it's incredibly sophisticated and very tuned into your changing moods. And you can easily justify the GTI to a partner. You say, darling, this is an incredibly sensible car to buy. Look, it's got 5 seats, it's a proper hatchback, it's not too big, it's not too expensive to buy, it's made in Germany, so it comes with all that great build quality. It means it'll last for 1,000 years, it'll never squeak or rattle. And your partner will say, darling, what an immensely sensible car you're choosing. I really congratulate you on your great judgment. I like VW Golfs. I see them all the time around the streets, and they look quite nice and they seem quite modern and fresh. And your partner will be dead right. But deep down inside, you know that as well as all those very, very sensible reasons to buy a Golf GTI, you're buying it for just the sheer fun of it and just the sheer hell of buying a car that can deliver outstanding sporting driving. Because you don't want to always be Mr. or Mrs. Sensible all the time. Sometimes you want to just go a bit feral. This is the sort of road that the GTI is made for. Short, sharp, little corners, lots of them. Sort of road where the confidence that the car gives you is very important. It's not a road I'm particularly familiar with. It's got some roadworks on it every now and again, some loose metal, and you really want a car that is able to just reassure you that you're going to be okay. Yet it's still delivering a very rewarding experience. The suspension is lovely and firm, but not jiggly in terms of its ride quality. It's providing very flat cornering, and I'm not being thrown around inside these seats, so all those things are gelling really nicely. The car's also feeling nicely responsive to the steering. Yeah, it's only a front wheel drive car, but I'm not feeling that it's really led by the nose. It's not when to slew off the road in a squeal of understeer. I think balance is the word that sums up the GTI most for me in demanding driving circumstances. I'm finding the DSG gearbox a real delight. I'm choosing to paddle up and paddle down, and the car's very responsive, of course, to the gear changes. And it's just such a lovely car. It's just so competent. It's not, you could not describe it as boring. I mean, you'd have to be pretty hard to describe the car as boring, because I don't find it that at all. I think the Golf GTI is very well spec'd in terms of the performance it offers. You can still scare yourself stupid with it, but for a large number of drivers, this is going to be as much sporting potential as they're going to need. There's not a lot to dislike about the Golf, and the GTI just puts the icing on the cake in terms of performance. Criticisms? Well, I could live without the tartan plaid Clark design seats, whatever you call them. The DSG, I'm still unconvinced, but everything else, I mean, look, the door pockets are lined with flock and the materials are all top notch. Everything's screwed together properly. It's hard to fault, really. It just does so much so well. That's what appeals to so many people. And yeah, you'll always find drivers who want more exhaust sound, or a more striking exterior design, or a more racy interior design, or they'll want more peak power. And there are cars out there that deliver those things. But for most people who don't want to have too much of any one thing, the Golf GTI is a hell of a good car, because it just provides a really stimulating, rewarding, fast drive without too much in the way of compromise anywhere. Maybe that makes it boring, but maybe that just makes it good. Like, really good.